All right, who's going in to the? Who's going into church?
Oh, I would imagine Torrin's going in, and I'll happily go in with Torrin.
Okay.
Yeah, I see no reason why we can't all just trundle in. It's a big building, right?
Yeah, it's just whether you want to.
I'd
mean-
like to. I have an alternative idea. Like, depending on the state of the city. Like, are these
You're gonna go
roads?
talk to the trees.
I mean, I could, but other roads like entirely paved and such.
Yeah.
I mean, there's trees around.
Like
so
100%, more or less.
Okay, fair enough. Then never mind my idea. I'm coming in.
You enter the Grand Temple, and it's another impressive plaza, right? There are even some people kind of trading in here, between white marble statues of impressive-looking Minotaur. There are priestesses who, like, you can straight up see a conversation happening where they're discussing this lump of gold ore. It seems they're discussing it in their native tongue and whatnot, in a very unchurchly way. Although I guess not to you. There's no altar or holy symbol or anything. There is a basically in the center-ish of this room, because it is kind of like this big dome chamber. And there's lots of rooms that go off it. A stone model of the globe of Jarviskjir that is slowly rotating on its axis, which is wild, especially because it's kind of got water running over it. Very impressive feat of engineering and statue work. Entirely pointless. Kind of pretty. It sort of depends. The best place to kind of describe this is it's almost like the entrance to a grand palace more than a church. Lots of places for these priests talking, a couple of hushed conversations with family guards and stuff like that, right? It seems to be where they're also running the city, not just the faith.
I mean, Torrin would either wait for someone to be available, like someone to stop what they are doing and just be moving from one task to another, or wait for someone to approach them if it looked like they were maybe approaching other people that are entering, or whether there's a queue anywhere or a line. Yeah.
No,
like
there doesn't. There's no. This might be dystopian, but there's no. We'll see you in blank desk, right? With tickets. The priestesses just don't care. But eventually, yeah, you kind of step in the way of one of them, and they look over you with a crooked eye, but then start speaking in common. How can I help the lot of you?
Sorry to interrupt you during your duties today. We've travelled quite a long way. Beyond Balcutta. We heard tell in Balcutta that there were a group of priestesses that have been driven from there for reasons that I'd rather not discuss at length. They worshipped Gira, the Earth Mother. Not the Earth Mother, because there's no Earth.
Gira is a similar faith to what they believe in. Yeah. Gira and Ame, I mean, to Torrin, they look very similar, act very similar, probably the same thing, but still.
They worshipped the mother. I understood they came to a temple like this here. I was wondering perhaps they'd moved. Maybe you could direct me towards them?
There are, of course, many who worship old, primitive faiths of the earth still in Shinebank. Well, we do not encourage it. It is quite common. But the large amount of those priests, they mostly went over the mountain to the river. Mother's Sight is where most of those priestesses you would find. South of Udar.
Even further. And you don't know of anyone in the city who would know of this faith?
Oh, plenty. There are many Minotaur who come from the more primitive communities in the mountains who still worship. We understand that everyone must practice what they believe in.
There's no local soothsayer or the such, a religious leader?
There may be. I don't take much interest in such primitiveness, she says, as someone straight up hands her a cup of tea in a saucer from the side and starts sipping out.
I see. I suppose information is rather primitive. Thank you for your time.
There's a kind of like side nod. You can tell a lot of folks are kind of, you know, keeping an eye on you because you don't belong. But
So I'm going to turn to the others.
You know, this is something even you can work out. You know, there's definitely a community of people who would still be quite faithful here, even if they're not the leading church.
These people don't care.
I could. You describe there are trees like around, and
There are trees in the church. There are trees in the
Not in the
plaza
church.
outside,
Okay.
and they're kind of like semi-locked up. Some of them are these
Semi-locked
great
up.
redwoods. Some of them are trees that are just a little smaller, and they kind of grow in the shadow of it. Seems deliberate.
Okay, you say they're locked up. Is that like we can't get near them?
No,
Or
they just
Okay.
they can't grow outwards.
they can't grow out? Okay. Amaris will say, I could attempt to converse with the trees in the plaza. Ask if they know by way of their roots the more fertile lands within the city. It could serve as an indication of where those who worship the Mountain Mother reside.
Well, I don't see any harm unless it's going to do what that last tree you tried to do that with did.
That was no mere tree.
Tree on a religious site there.
Amarillo's gonna talk to trees.
Yep.
So you walk up to this.
What I said.
You know, there's kind of two areas with these redwoods. So there's basically two redwoods, one either side of the temple, essentially, and then they have these 4 or so of these smaller, still incredibly grand, bigger than any tree you've seen trees. There are some people sort of sitting at benches under them. They're more treating them like statues, right? Which one would you like to commune with?
Sorry, you cut out momentarily. Were you just asking which one of them?
Yeah.
Or... There's 2 of them. Flip a coin. Go to...
Well, there's like 10, because there's
Oh,
two
there's
redwoods
2 big-
and then 4 whitewoods under each, aligned
Okay.
quite deliberately.
So, thinking about this logically, the redwoods probably have greater reach with their roots and such, like probably know more of the land. I am guessing, just from like fantasy logic, quote unquote, they would also be slower in talking. They
I was
would,
going to say maybe you should pick something young and quick growing,
yes,
because
exactly.
it might still take an interest.
Yeah, that's also true. I will start with the youngest looking whitewood. And I mean, I'll basically ask exactly what I described. I will speak in Elder Sylvan. I will try to be like, I know it's obviously I'm going to be drawing attention, but I will try and draw as little attention as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you're. It is evident at this point that all four of you are being suspicious.
Yeah.
You are being watched by the family. This is just a fact now. So you're talking to the trees. You go and talk to one of the Whitewoods, and you want to ask what they have seen and where the good shit is, the good soil is.
Yes, basically.
Where do those who worship the trees stay?
Yeah. We're going to come to the first question. I'm not going to roleplay the tree this time. Because also the conversation isn't in words. It's in memories and feelings and tastes and stuff. The soil used to be very verdant. The first, when they were planted, it was planted by probably priestesses to the Mountain Mother or something. Similar kind of nature magic. Who still had great respect for the elves, because these were basically gifts from, or stolen from the elven lands. These trees came across the sea as saplings. Which means it's been a long time ago. Over time, especially in the last little while, the topsoil has become acrid and unusable. I mean, it's all paved over. There's nothing for them there now that they haven't already sucked up. But the deepest roots can touch more fertile ground. The roots do literally twist towards a specific point in the city. And you can kind of visualize that and maybe lead the party towards it. It is on the south side, near the gate you came in, kind of nestled near where the river is. It's kind of the inside side of that river.
Yeah, okay. Once she's... Amaryllis is very because this is also exchange of memories and such, I can imagine there's a lot of emotion as well. So... Amaryllis is very much feeling the pain of this tree, the acridity of the soil. And when she sort of, that moment where she sort of regains her surroundings, she comes out of conversation with the tree, you would probably actually notice the equivalent of tears that would slowly roll down her cheeks. And then I just picture them just evaporating into glitter. And
Are you Faye? Bring me the torch.
And she just turns to the party and says, "The soil here is horrible. These poor, they have been here seasons far beyond me, and they are in pain. But for now, I have the information I sought. Come, we head towards the river near where we entered."
Can we help them?
She pauses for a very long moment. Short of bringing down the entire established structure of the city, I doubt it.
Surely a farmer would know what to do to make the dirt good again for them.
There is no doubt of that. I'm sure there are many within this city that could. It is a matter that those in power in the city hold no interest in doing so.
No, but perhaps the farmer that has saffron would be willing to help somehow. Just something to keep in mind.
She nods, and just starts moving in the direction that she indicated.
As you're going through Shinebank, I mean, you took a very major road before. When you're taking less major routes, because you're basically following the twist of the tree roots. This is built on hills, so the ground, the paved like up and down and all that sort of thing. The area you end up in is in basically a ditch of the city. It's still mostly paved, but quite a lot more muddy. You know, it's right by the river where you saw a lot of people farming. You can straight up actually see areas where river water drainage would go through grates out of the city in this area, which, I mean, Bell, it's actually conceivable you could squeeze through those if need be. Difficult, but possible. This area is muddy. You actually get splashed by someone carelessly bringing their cart through a puddle past a lot of you. The snow is that kind of horrible brownish slush around here. But even so, there's plant life in the little trellises between buildings. It's mostly tomatoes, actually, that are thriving, growing very well, despite the absolute... There's like, no tomatoes, no.
Things like, only like ketchup.
Yeah.
With my melting potato smileys.
100% called out. But it's weird because it's not like, you know, you're going somewhere where the soil's still good and you think, oh, there's going to be a whole bunch of things. No, they're mostly growing tomatoes, and they're in various states of growth, mostly on trellises along the side of buildings. Something that Shinebank has, because it is a very old city, by Minotaur standards at least, it has areas where the city walls were here, and then the city expanded, now the city walls are here. And this area is kind of, like, cut out because of that. You don't see many family members pass this way. Maybe an area where they just kind of leave it to itself. It's clearly got its own sort of thing going on. Plants are growing here. The buildings are small and ramshackle and somewhat slum-like. Sometimes buildings are kind of built on top of other buildings to make use of the room. And it's, you know, you would be getting here in the afternoon, so it'd be kind of busy-ish, especially with people getting food from food vendors here.
Any idea where to start?
No.
Not at all.
Well, let's ask to someone who sees a lot of people then. He'd make a motion to start towards one of the not quite so busy food vendors.
Mm-hmm. These food vendors are mostly around a... God, Dean, you're making me jealous. My Diet Coke rations are low. They're mostly built around like an old cruddy fountain. You know when like a piece of stonework is new and is beautiful, and then it gets messy and dirty and stained and it's ugly, and then it gets so stained and worn it's kind of beautiful again. It's kind of that situation. If it's meant to be running water from this fountain, it isn't anymore. It's just like a pool, and it's not a pool of necessarily very clean water. But it is kind of the center point here, where there are these people basically just with a table, and they're selling fruit and veg. Especially, like, they seem to be selling grass. And sorry if you go up to one of these Minotaur, quite plump, maybe middle-aged Minotauress, who is kind of mixing up this bowl of, like, grass and other, like, weeds and things, and then sees there are a bunch of humans and kind of like puts that aside, like, oh, that's not for you, and like puts the hands on the table. Don't see outsiders through this way often.
That obvious, eh? That's, yeah, fair enough. Well, we couldn't get a bite to eat, could we?
There would be a little wooden sign that they'd tap, but I don't have a little wooden sign. I have a little book. It wouldn't
Maybe
be
we
much.
should make you a wooden sign.
I'd lose it.
You can say, I am a dog.
It would be
You could
4
say-
copper for basically a meal of salad, and there would be like bread and stuff. They basically bring
Okay,
the bowl
let's
back.
Get 3 of those, shall we? Pay with the copper and break a silver.
Yeah. It seems like a bit of a weird thing to eat in the middle of a blizzardy day. But
It is, but there's purpose. While she's prepping that for us, Toron would be like, you don't know whether there's any priestesses or, well, probably priestesses of the mother around here.
Mountain Mother, yeah. We hold our prayers. We pray best we can.
You see, we come from Balcutta way, further actually. We need help. I was wondering, is there a leader, a spiritual leader in this part? Someone we could speak to?
Probably oldest is me. Probably know most is me. Ever since Mama passed.
You're the spiritual leader.
Don't think I'd use those words. People listen to me. Hands you a bowl. The bowl
He
is
kind
like
of blinks
lopsided
a
and
few
janky.
times. Right.
We've got to be subtle out here. The family don't like people praying to anything. Oh, they let the elves have a church, but not the people of their own land.
Well, if we've got to be subtle, maybe you could eat with us.
It takes the other bowl and just kind of takes a handful of grass and just gives it an old chomp.
How do we put this? You'd look at Richter and then Bell and then finally on Amy and say our land is poisoned. A dragon's poison has seeped deep into the land and is killing the
Didn't that
wildlife.
happen quite a while ago?
It did in Balcutta, yes. The land's still not recovered properly. It happened in our village as well.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I heard the priestesses in Balcutta were looking into the poison.
My mama was one of them. We had to leave. The ground too foul turned the prayers against them.
I hate to ask this, but she didn't leave anything. Any notes, research, perhaps a prayer.
You can give me a persuasion check.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Mama left lots of things. You didn't own much. You seem nice. I'm sorry for what happened to your home. But there's nothing that I can do.
Well, thanks for your time. Just one final thing. You haven't heard of an Avinder Dougal, have you? He's a writer, an adventurer.
Oh, don't much read. At all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. I hope someone can help you.
Torin would offer his hand and say, Torin.
Nikki. Big hand. Little salad dressing ends up on yours. It's nice.
Hopefully, God, that's so great.
What?
Hopefully, dude, cope with that. Hopefully, Gira will send some luck.
Ugh. Hmm. Mm. Mm. She just kind of gets back to doing what she was doing.
Torrin would turn to the others and look at them. He's got tears in his eyes, and he'd say, "I don't know what else. We can't go all the way in winter."
This city holds less bounty for us than we'd hoped, perhaps.
Well, didn't he mention something of the elves? The elves have a place of worship.
Powerful magics.
Right? I mean, I don't pretend to know anything about any of this, but I would assume in a place of worship there would be worshippers. And
surely the elves are worse than the Minotaurs. They're trying to be like them. And
some Minotaur greed combined with elven pride could make them worse than either on their own. It would be something to judge when there, but as we are in the city, there is no harm in trying, at least to see what their priests are like.
Better to try and go empty-handed than to never have tried.
we all know why we're here. We should do everything we can.
Just to remind you why you're here, this is only one of many quests. You also want to find out more information about people researching dragons who pass through Balcutta. You also wanted to just in general see what research they had here, and especially about what's his name, Dougal. So there's other things to explore as well. You kind of have to wander aimlessly through the city to find the Elven Church. Eventually, Bell would find some signage to it closer to the coast. It would be quite late. This is a city that has like gas lanterns and stuff in some places, especially upon like main roads. And there is a large promenade raised by the docks that you would walk along, and the Elven Church would be upon that. It would be lit up quite dramatically, actually, amongst the other buildings that would be kind of quite high-quality townhouses built into the promenade wall and stuff like that. People who can afford to live quite close to the docks, if that's better for them. But not so close that it's like noisy and annoying, right? It's a little bit down this way. Would this Elven Church be open? I think at this time of night in this city it would be closed, but if you... Clearly the lights are on, so you could just straight up like knock at the door. Was that a knock?
Should I knock?
Well, we're here for something other than worship. I imagine when the doors are open, they expect people coming for worship.
I imagine it will quickly become apparent whether or not this will serve our needs. Not take much of our or their time.
After a little bit after knocking, the church opens up. This is not a very large building. it's still nice that they have a dedicated place of worship. Looking inside beyond the person who opened the door real quick, you know, it is a very typical church affair where there's seating and an altar. Seating looks very comfortable. There are very, like, traditional fantasy, these stained glass of elven god-like figures along the walls that have had a lot of care taken into it. This is, like, small but quality care. The actual, like, priest who opens the door has a silverish goblet of wine in one hand as they kind of push the door open, and a big smile. They have a few scars. Their hair is, like, undercut with a little bit of sort of dirty blondish hair. And they're wearing, like, kind of priest vestments and leathers, like, that you can see all the pouches and bags and that store these kind of things in a very practical way, and kind of leaves the door open, like, kind of, like, laughing to themselves, like, who is it at this time of night? Who the devil are all of you?
Hello. We are from down towards Balcutta. We've arrived here today. Quite. We're coming towards the end of our rope, and we need help.
Well, say no more. Come on in. I have a warm hearth, a little wine, a little bread, a little cheese. You can tell me your tale there.
That's very kind of you, sir. Thank you. Maybe they aren't like the Minotaurs after all.
Kind of steps aside as you pass, just very slowly drinking the rest of the goblet of wine.
As we
Oh
enter,
god, it's a vampire.
as we enter, can I just give an insight roll to get a feel?
It's not wine. It's piss.
Natural 20. It's a vampire.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that's happened. Yulia did that once.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not a vampire. Well, who would know, right? They appear to be...
Amaryllis, if anyone.
Your immediate thought about
You calling Amaryllis a vampire?
this individual is... this is a small, kind of crappy church. This person looks like a retired adventurer or traveler or warrior or maybe a paladin, right? They've already done their exploring, and from what you know of elven priests, they you know, one of the things that you're meant to make a tale of yourself, and they've already kind of gone out and done this, and now they're like semi-retired, running this parish, which means who knows if they're going to be able to help you, but they definitely got time for you, and they're definitely probably bored of the status quo. And that's kind of what you get while you're being let in. A drunken boredom. You are amusing, especially when you creak through the door, Amaryllis. There is a... Ha! Do you see that? He speaks over his shoulder to nobody. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a... blessed creature of false Arvor, a dryad, and... Arvorai? Something, Fey, I find.
Long separated from the wilds that my kind come from, but yes, a dryad would be the word in this tongue for me.
Excellent. Let me break out a new bottle of vintage King's Road. Red or white? Are you red or white people? Have you been eating any beef today?
Well, we had red wine for the first time yesterday.
Well, I suppose it's
very
time for
nice.
you to have the white wine for the first time today. Literally, like, to the side of the, like, in a very churchly way, small churchly parish way, there's the church, and then to the side is just this person's living quarters, which are just as comfortable and just as grand. There's a small hearth, like, cooking fire. He goes and gets an assortment of different mugs and things. They're not all goblets. They're just, like, assorted, like, metal and wood and whatever. And pours you very hearty glasses of this white wine. Motions for you all to sit. There's comfy spaces to sit. There's kind of a hammock that hangs. There's a few assorted things. There's, you know, this isn't the kind of person whose armor is up in on a stand, but you can see a helmet. You can see the boots that are armored. You can see a long sword that's just kind of resting up against whatever. Right, their things are here. Kind of pours out, hands all this wine out, and motions to a charcuterie board of meats and cheeses, and a little bit of bread. And like, please, you all look half starved, and I've encountered humans before. I know you're not meant to look that scrawny, so please, eat up before you tell me what your tale is, and then I'll listen. I'm all ears.
You sure? You really don't mind?
I can't promise to give you a blessing. I can't promise to help you out, but I can listen. I honestly believe it's quite the duty of a priest to be a therapist of sorts. You probably don't know what that word means. To listen to your problems and help you through them. And you all clearly have problems. First of all, it looks like you haven't bathed in quite some time. I will have to bring out the tub.
Actually, I've therapized my friend on several occasions.
That's not a word.
Well, it was written that way.
That is a point. I don't think I've ever seen humans coming from inside the horn before.
Right,
Your
yeah,
accents are, forgive the term, horny.
Neil's done.
We just paid. That's it. We can't get that.
This dude is now my backup character.
Well, Richter's kind of like the de facto chief's son, so it's probably best if he explains it, I guess. He looks sheepishly at Richter. Oh, right, yeah, introductions. You've been extremely kind and to invite us in. We've been rather rude. My name is Torin. Torin Stram. Pleasure to meet you. He would do a little bow.
Torin, I have to open my character sheet because I forgot my last name.
Sarnock. I know it.
I played it off!
Neil, not me. I know
okay.
mine's Starnock.
Okay, I thought
So
you
I
were...
didn't have to open my character
He
sheet.
was doing some major shade.
I just had to look at bottom of Roll20.
It's okay. Things happen.
Who knows
Sorry,
their name?
I'm not some big head around going, I'm Mr. Starnock. And this is Richter Starnock.
Hello. Yes, my name is Richter Starnock.
Oh, the cruelty! And this is Motion to Bell.
Lara Scarheart. Appreciate the hospitality.
Pulls out an
Like,
encyclopedia.
Like a cat sneeze.
It's just funny that you didn't know my name in my sheet.
Well, he doesn't. I would introduce you as Bell. I've got it right here. Bellara Edgelord. Like that.
Bellara is not an edgelord.
And this is well, as you've already met, Amaryllis, our spirit guide
She's a friend.
and a friend. She did
Well, you
possibly
all
save the
have
village.
such beautiful names. My name is Zekian Vastinas.
My name sounds shit now.
Poetry in its own right.
How am I spelling that?
Oh, good question. No, I have it.
Zekyn is how I did it.
Yeah. Close.
ZEKYN. You got
Close.
the KY in there.
Damn it, I was so close.
Yeah, there was an Ian in there.
My name is Zekian Vastinas, and I am
Yeah.
here to take your life.
When our introductions are out of the way, you can tell me what tale of woe you all have.
Yes. Well, and I'll kind of give a look to Torrin to be like, is this okay to tell him? Like a,
Torrin, I give the guy a look.
He is currently drinking the wine.
He looks pretty harmless.
He does look harmless. If this information, the information about your story, you don't know how, but you feel like if the family knew the specifics, there might be something bad that happened, right? The way they've been
They're in league
lurking
with the
around
Dragon.
you. If they aren't, they definitely are the kind of people who would be, right? This guy
Fairy dragons.
doesn't seem like that kind of person, and also if he's clearly not in line with the family, and if there's no way he can do anything bad with this information other than yeah, okay, if he's a thief and you tell him exactly where your town is, he can go and steal, but you don't have anything to steal.
Reaches behind his armor at the end of the story and pulls out a giant two-handed sword and cleaves one of us.
Like, yeah, you're already in the most danger being in this guy's home.
well, to be fair, if he got a horn on for blue women, then he's he's in luck.
Your dad is still there.
Yeah, but he's got blue balls now.
I'll take care of the dad.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no!
I understand
Well-
being horny for Oscar. That's a very logical loop there.
Torrin would nod a little bit.
Zekian, it began with our friend here, Amaryllis, appearing before our small village, with warning. And unfortunately, not too long after that warning, a dragon, and I'll stare him right in the eyes and nod as I say that to be like, yes, really. A dragon. Well, let's just say we have suffered greatly, and its attack has left scars on our village and the surrounding areas, and those scars seem to be worsening.
It poisons the land, and the very soil itself screams in pain.
You need say no more. I will help you slay this dragon.
No, well,
Yes.
You can kill a dragon?
I've never killed a dragon before. I suppose I don't know.
What's the biggest you've slain?
Oh, well, there were on the ship over here quite an attack from shark people. They can get very large, multiple arms, nasty buggers. Those were quite large. In my past, I mostly helped people. I didn't do a lot of killing of monsters. I killed enough. I've killed enough monsters in my time. I lived far more of a lifetimes than any of you would have had. I've killed lots of monsters. Rest assured of that. Lots of monsters. Lots of them. But you know, when it comes to trophy monsters,
Insight?
Yeah, you can give me an insight on that.
Yeah, we got
Anyone can kill a cockatrice, but then you don't mount a cockatrice head on your wall. People just think that's an ugly chicken. You know, that's not very impressive. And you know, you take care of a zombie, and a zombie, you kill the zombie, there's nothing left. What you gonna do with that? Yeah, he definitely doesn't have. He's definitely not a monster hunter, right? It's very. I mean, he has scars and things. It's. Maybe he had those scars from losing a fight. But he definitely cares. You very much believe him when he says, I mostly helped people. That seemed very genuine. You can very much imagine this person with an elven lifespan using... whether he has holy powers, but using his ability as like a paladin for good, you know, checking on people and things. More than going out and hunting monsters, which is probably more realistic. But at the same time, he clearly wants to make his tale be grander, as as Torin kind of is putting together based on the decoration of the room. That the worship of this core elven god is very much about stories. There's so many storybooks and paintings and little tapestries and things. His story isn't that grand yet, and he's near his twilight years.
Sir, your strength and bravery are admirable and appreciated. But there are many other forms of aid that we think that you would be very helpful providing.
What?
He's got a set of armor. Don't turn away. What if he can just kill the dragon? I mean, probably he can't, but what if he can?
We'd love for you to accompany us back to Mother's Horn.
Back to your village, huh? I don't
or
see
meet
why
us
not.
there on your own time. I hate to...
Who owns their own time anyway, right?
Well, the people of Mother's Horn used to. But now I'm afraid it's borrowed.
You mean cornucopia?
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I meant to say. Cornucopia.
Don't feel embarrassed. He opened his character sheet to check that.
It would only be neighborly of me to assist in any way that I can. You have a dragon terrorizing your lands. That is the stuff of legend.
Apparently, there are people here who are researching dragons. Maybe we could buy a dragon-slaying weapon from them. We've got like 1,000 gold. That's got to be enough, right?
No.
If anything, a magic that slays dragons would be amazing. That would be brilliant.
What do you mean? We can't stop the poison. We can't travel all the way over to Uda.
Or if I may, perhaps you have a network here. Perhaps you have friends.
I absolutely have friends. That's why I'm here drinking alone on a Tuesday night.
Richter's thought he doesn't have friends.
But you want information. I don't have friends. I have colleagues, acquaintances. Ah, yes, you would probably want into the family's library. They might know a lot.
Yes, we've got books. Books by a
you're gonna
Vinger.
get you're gonna get a joy out of it. The Rectory of Knowledge. Anything the family, right? Rectory.
I'm sorry, I've not encountered that word before.
Well, it's like a sort of holy library-ish. It's where they kind of put all their books.
Secret place.
The So, like, the thing is, people, they don't, you know, you might have noticed. Oh, you probably haven't. There's no bookshops in this city because all the books are off in the library. They don't want too many people going as smart as an elf, aside from the people they want to be as smart as an elf. So the rest of them are as... I'm not going to finish that sentence. It was racist. But I happen to be good friends, great friends, excellent friends with Rector Atuno. He's got there's like a spa, like a hot spring under the library. I mean, I just have to say it. You're gorgeous, and so are you. Like both to Richter and Belle. We could easily get you into the hot springs, and then you could poke around in the rectory.
Sorry, well, couldn't
You
I
did
get
that on purpose, Ollie.
He did, not me.
I'm just thinking, as someone who works in the library, why don't we have a freaking spa in the library?
Well, why could I not get in the hot spring?
No, you're right. I could make you work. I would need to comb through that hair, shave that little peach fuzz off your face.
Well, what
put
do you
in a
mean
nice,
make me work?
Nicer outfit, perhaps.
I'm unsure of this.
Well, let's be honest, right? You could sneak in as thieves, or you could walk in as prostitutes.
Was not a
Oh,
counter-
they're people who give comfort for money.
Oh, you mean Richter's mum?
He pours more wine into Richter's mug. Like that.
Do you actually say
Hey.
that?
Don't look so blue.
Bolaro
friends in the
will
family.
grab his wine and pull it closer to her.
Neil, is Torrin saying this?
Yes, Torrin said a bit too much.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's
and that's
never
why
had
Bolaro
wine
grabbed
before.
the wine and pulled it to herself.
Richter will remember this in the top left of your screen.
Oh, no!
Bolaro
Richter didn't
hands
like
the
that.
wine to Richter. Drink it, throw it in his face.
Look, you can think about this all you want. I'm sure there's a lot of information that you'd find valuable in the rectory. You want to know more about dragons? You want to know more about that chap you talked about? You want to know more about anything? You might be able to find information about it in the rectory. And then, talking about dragon researchers, I believe there was... You know, I'll have to check in with some of my people.
Sir, how much... She swallows hard. Comfort would we have to provide?
Oh, well, if you're glib, none. It's very easy. You just say, "Oh, I need to powder my nose," and you slink away behind a curtain and then never return. And they'll always be living in that man's memory. And they'll be haunted by it. Forever.
He thinks too long.
Yeah, he does. He just pauses.
That is genuine comedy gold right there. The way you did that was really good.
I say we do it.
I think Zekian is the best choice, really. He seems well connected. Can I see your armor?
Oh. Yeah, sure. Fuck it.
He
like-
puts down his split. Okay.
Let's be honest, there probably is a, like, still smoldering pipe in this room. It would be a really pretty one too. He has to kind of like walk around you in this small little space to get to his armor. It's clearly not being maintained because he doesn't wear it anymore. But it is, you know, you imagine in its prime it would have been beautiful. This elven, sort of high elven armor, which, as you remind with styling, there's like a little knightliness, like Knights of the Round Table design to it, with a little bit more elven flair. Like I said, there's the helmet. And it would have been pretty heavy. It would have, you know, I think it would have been half plate actually. I'm not going to go all the way to something like splint. Something like that. I don't know. I can worry about the specifics, but it's a nice set of armor that he has to get all the pieces from different parts of the room. And there are areas where, yeah, there's a hole in it from like a bolt or something. You know, it has been beaten up. It's also water damage from the sailing here. A little corroded.
Wow. Look at this, Richter. This armor's made of metal plates. Not rings, plates.
Goodness.
God, imagine wearing one of those.
Well, my father has. Very briefly.
I've never
But he
seen
has.
him.
No, not. It was before.
Don't get much
Technology
good metal.
these days.
Don't get much good metal up here. Actually, a lot of the good metal you'd mine, you send it right back over to Thundrol. That's across the sea where I come from.
You sailed across.
Yes,
Of
you already
course.
said that.
Elves.
Yeah, I absolutely was not born here. I do not have cow ears.
I don't have cow ears. He'd take off his helmet. I was born here.
We definitely need to clean those up.
Oh.
I can't even imagine. You don't know what it's like across the sea. It's so strange. Even other humans I've encountered in Shinebank have been from Goldport or Tran or the Othenfer or Velheim.
My father was from Goldport.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
Oh, it's just Goldport, and by extension, everyone who comes from there is terrible. Is a terrible place / people.
Well, Rich's dad's a really good bloke, actually.
Oh, I'm sure not all of them are bad. He says, just taking a long swig.
Sir, my best friend mocked my mum's blueness, and now this guy is
Oh,
mocking...
I don't mean to insult your family. I don't know them. I'm sure they're lovely. It's just hard to imagine that you don't know the state of the globe. I guess I don't know the state of the globe anymore.
Well, admittedly, this is the furthest, well, either me or Torin have been from where we were born.
A long way.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
How old are you?
I suppose that's the question, isn't it? You know, I stopped sort of counting since I came off this way. I'm in my... I mean, I might have reached my 400th year. I sailed here... before that. You stop counting when you're not amongst people who are counting.
Aye, Whelan's bushy tail.
He nods a bit at that.
400 years.
Yeah. It's funny, if I was actually born here, there probably wouldn't have been a here to be born in. The city's only about 400. I'm looking just as good as the city is. He says, splashing some wine.
Balara will move to wipe it for him and say, better.
You probably all don't have beds, do you?
No, we still been sleeping in a sled in the snow.
Oh. Well, I don't have any room here unless you want to sleep on the floor of the church, which... No, you're not doing that. You'll dirty it up. I could maybe, you know, I know someone over at the, I know someone at the Rope and Anchor. I can get you a deal. I can get you a deal, nice warm beds.
That would be greatly appreciated.
Very kind, yes. You've been so good to us, Mr. Bastinus. Really kind.
It's been my honor.
Please
Come,
allow
let me.
us to do some chores for you.
I will not say no to that. He gets up, kind of like smooths out his outfit, and will lead you out. A little ways down the docks where it's a bit busier, and this is where it's like people are still working on the ships, right? And these are massive ships, some of them. Really close up, like full-on elven galleons and Velheimian galleons. Like, big vessels. Not all of them, but some of them. Minotaur shipping and all that sort of thing. Leads you to a tavern built into the boardwalk, into the promenade. Like I mentioned, some of the buildings are. You know, the light glows out onto the snow at night. And again, you can hear songs, you can hear conversation, even though it's the dead of night. It's probably horrible to live next to. But he walks in, pauses in the door, clearly seeing someone inside. It's like, you know what? I will, just take, here's like 2 gold, and you just be my guest. It's on me.
No, we can't, really. You've already been too kind. We have a bit of gold we can pay. Thank you very much.
Sure. And he just doesn't, like, push it anymore and just turns. As you can see, someone sitting at the bar, like, looking out the window, is like, is that? He's like, I will be off. I'll see you all in the morning. Not too early.
Thank you, Mr. Vastana. He shouts the name.
She'll take his hands in hers and like
he's
look
like,
him in the eye.
Yeah, he's like trying to look past you. That's like the bodyguards from like the tavern are starting to come out. He doesn't move away if you take his hands.
She'll try to catch eye contact and say,
Yeah.
sincerely, thank you.
I very much believe that, but I must be going. And he will slip his hands away and
less than gracefully
leave.
Leg it.
Yeah. Around a corner. Leaving you at the Rope and Anchor. But we can get back to that after a break. I think we all need a break after that.
Those seem nice.